Mr. Wizard Explains the Universe will not be seen at this time. In its place, we bring you a program no one can understand.
Remember when kids' TV wasn't afraid to be completely unhinged? When a sketch comedy show could feature public executions, exploding lockers, and a janitor who looked like he moonlighted as a crypt keeper? And somehow it was still for kids? That was You Can't Do That on Television, the chaotic Canadian import that made slime a rite of passage, turned I don't know into a trigger phrase, and accidentally built Nickelodeon's entire identity. This was ground zero for all things messy, sarcastic, and gloriously inappropriate. Today we're counting down 10 weird and totally disgusting facts about the show that broke every rule and left kids across America nervously glancing at the ceiling. Trust us, number 1 might make you question everything you've ever put in a cafeteria bucket. So hit that like button, subscribe for more retro TV deep dives, and keep your raincoat close because when slime is involved, no one's safe. Number 10. It didn't even start on Nickelodeon. Before You Can't Do That on Television became Nickelodeon's slime-slinging juggernaut, it was just a scrappy little sketch show airing on CJOH-TV in Ottawa. That's right, this iconic series that basically invented Nickelodeon's vibe didn't even start on Nickelodeon. The year was 1979, disco was dying, thank God, Atari was king, thank God, and somewhere between hockey highlights and apologetic weather reports, Canada quietly launched the weirdest kids show in television history. Thank God? Roger Price and Jeffrey Darby created You Can't Do That on Television using real kids, silly gags, and enough absurdity to make parents double-check the channel guide.
Hi, this is a totally new kind of television program. It's made for ordinary Canadian kids by ordinary Canadian kids. We're all new to television, so we're still trying to find our way around the studio.
Enter Nickelodeon in 1981. A baby network so desperate for content that they probably would have aired a moose playing hockey if it tested well with kids. The execs stumbled across this weird little Canadian export and thought, let's see if American kids get it. They aired some edited versions in 1982 to test the waters. Spoiler alert, it became the most watched show on the channel. Nickelodeon basically said, forget educational programming, this is it. This is our DNA. Within months, the network that had been playing it safe was suddenly all about breaking rules, making fun of adults, and covering everyone in green goo. So, while You Can't Do That on Television is remembered as peak Nickelodeon, it started in a Canadian studio with hand-me-down costumes and zero international ambitions. It crossed the border, conquered cable TV, and accidentally taught an entire generation that saying I don't know was basically asking for trouble. Number 9. Christine Moose McGlade was cast by accident. Most casting agents spend months hunting for the perfect lead. Auditions, callbacks, chemistry reads, dramatic monologues about wanting it more than anything. Or you can just accidentally cast the girl who wasn't even trying out.
And my phone number is 824-7922. I'm not really prepared, I don't know what to talk about, so...
Christine McGlade, aka Moose, walked into that You Can't Do That on Television audition room for one reason: moral support. Her friend was the one auditioning, and Christine was there to provide encouraging nods and maybe split a milkshake afterward. Classic wing woman duty. What she didn't expect was Roger Price looking directly at her and saying, "You, either audition or leave." Christine chose to audition and accidentally landed the starring role that would define Canadian children's television.
I don't know.
She wasn't polished or trained, and she definitely wasn't practicing her "I'd like to thank the Academy" speech in the mirror, and that's exactly why she was perfect. Moose became the ultimate audience surrogate, sarcastic, self-aware, and completely unbothered by getting covered in mysterious substances on a daily basis. She was the kind of kid who could take a bucket of slime to the face, pause to wipe her eyes, and deliver a perfectly timed comeback without missing a beat. Roger Price later said Moose was basically the human anchor, keeping the entire chaotic cast from floating away into complete absurdity. 7 seasons on one accidental audition, and Christine McGlade became one of the most recognizable faces in 80s kids TV, all because she was a good friend who couldn't say no to Roger Price. So what happened to Moose after the slime dried up? Well, she did what any sensible former child star would do. Got a master's degree, became a digital media executive at TV Ontario, and now runs her own strategy company while teaching at OCAD University. Oh, and she's raising 3 kids, including twins, which probably involves more chaos than getting slimed ever did. The lesson? Sometimes the best performances come from people who aren't performing at all. Also, never underestimate the power of being voluntold. Number 8, they didn't want actors, just regular kids. While most child stars in the 80s were busy memorizing Shakespeare between cereal commercials, the kids on You Can't Do That on Television were still figuring out how lockers worked, and that's exactly how the producers wanted it. Roger Price and Jeffrey Darby had one casting rule: no child actors. Not the polished pageant kids with Hollywood smiles and headshots. Not the ones with agents, resumes, and demo reels. They wanted real, awkward, unpredictable kids who'd still argue about who got to sit in the front seat on the way to set. Filming was scheduled around actual school hours, after class, and on weekends. No on-set tutors, no luxury trailers, and absolutely no actor behavior. These were regular Ottawa kids juggling homework and slime buckets, riding bikes to the studio like it was just another after-school activity.
There's no doubt in my mind after reading this book that women are far more courageous than boys.
I'm telling you, Christine, there should be more men that are more courageous than girls.
Hey, you kids!
Way.
Hey! Your dentist is on the line. He can only take one of you, so you better decide which one gets the appointment.
Oh, you go ahead. I'm only partway through the book.
No, Christine, you're a courageous girl. No, you're a courageous woman.
You know, Alistair, listen, I really want to read the
According to Darby, once they started acting like professionals, the magic died. And boy, did that philosophy pay off. That raw, unfiltered energy gave the show its secret weapon: jokes that landed harder when delivered by a kid who still had algebra homework in their backpack.
How'd you like a date with a really good-looking French-Canadian guy?
Slime was funnier when it hit someone who genuinely didn't see it coming. It's a miracle no one tried to start a union, but thanks to that deliberately low-key approach, You Can't Do That on Television avoided the typical child star disaster path. No bratty divas, no tabloid meltdowns, just a rotating cast of regular kids who accidentally made TV history between geometry tests. Number 7, the opening credits were a total Terry Gilliam ripoff. If the opening credits of You Can't Do That on Television gave you deja vu, you're not imagining things. Those conveyor belts, falling heads, and jerky cutout animations? Well, that's Terry Gilliam's signature Monty Python style. Borrowed, cracked open, and doused in green slime. Jeffrey Darby, the show's executive producer, later came clean, saying, "Yeah, we cribbed it a lot." And honestly, fair play. Monty Python's Flying Circus was the visual chaos blueprint of the late 70s. Paper cutouts defying physics, surreal transitions, exploding everything. It was like someone gave a toddler unlimited craft supplies and hallucinogenic mushrooms, then asked them to animate a sketch show. So, when You Can't Do That on TV was being developed in Canada, the creators thought, why not steal some Gilliam-style madness for kids? They love chaos. The result was conveyor belts of decapitated heads, hammers smashing skulls, random meat factories, because nothing screams wholesome children's programming like animated industrial accidents. But here's the thing, it worked. It didn't feel like a cheap knockoff, it felt like Python's anarchic little cousin who'd been fed nothing but sugar cereal and Saturday morning cartoons. The animation perfectly captured the show's DNA. Unpredictable, slightly unhinged, and absolutely committed to the bit. So yes, the intro was visual plagiarism, but it was plagiarism with purpose, setting the perfect tone for a show where getting your head metaphorically bashed in by a giant mallet was just Tuesday. Number 6. It helped launch actual stars. It's not often that a green slime-drenched Canadian sketch show accidentally becomes a talent incubator for a future rock goddess and the guy who made physics jokes mainstream. But You Can't Do That on Television wasn't just chaos, it was chaos with a surprisingly impressive alumni network. Let's start with Alanis. Yeah, that Alanis.
Don't look at me like that. All I said was these things in church.
Pre-Jagged Little Pill, pre-ironic, pre-becoming the patron saint of 90s female rage, she was just a kid with big hair and bigger braces who joined the cast in 1986. She only appeared in a handful of episodes, but apparently getting slimed in Ottawa was excellent preparation for conquering the music world. The Then there's Bill Prady, not a cast member, but part of the writing team who helped craft those legendary sketches. Fast forward a few decades and he's co-creating The Big Bang Theory, turning science nerds into sitcom gold. Before he was writing jokes about theoretical physics, he was writing gags about kids getting dunked in mystery liquids. The progression makes perfect sense if you think about it. So while most viewers tuned in for pies to the face and incompetent adults, they were unknowingly watching a low-key star factory. Turns out getting covered in slime was just really good career prep. Alright folks, before we dive into our final 5 facts that'll make you question everything about your childhood, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And hey, if you ever find yourself saying I don't know after this video, maybe look up first. Just saying. Now, back to more slimy facts like number 5. It was proudly anti-educational. While Sesame Street was teaching you the alphabet and Mr. Rogers was teaching you about feelings, You Can't Do That on Television was teaching you absolutely nothing.
3, 4, 5.
It was damn proud of that educational vacuum, by the way. Roger Price made this crystal clear. This wasn't just a non-educational show. It was aggressively anti-educational, a full-scale rebellion against wholesome messaging, after-school specials, and anything that smelled remotely like a life lesson. His philosophy was kids spend all day learning stuff. They deserve 30 minutes of pure, unadulterated nonsense. Christine McGlade nailed it years later. Quote, "If the kids took over the studio, all these fun, silly, hilarious things could happen," end quote. And that's exactly how the show operated. Like kids had staged a coup, barricaded the adults out of the control room, and started making sketches about detention, dodging homework, and the universal horror of gym class. There were no moral lessons, no vocabulary building, no very special episodes about stranger danger. Just pure chaos designed to give kids a sense of control and a weekly reminder that authority figures, especially the ones played by Les Ly in increasingly ridiculous wigs, are fundamentally absurd.
Do you believe that on Halloween night, ghosts and demons roam the streets?
Oh, no, of course.
The result was a generation of viewers who learned exactly one thing: how to avoid saying "I don't know" near any ceiling that looked even slightly suspicious. Number 4, it was basically the birthplace of gross out humor. Before Ren and Stimpy smeared boogers across Saturday mornings and SpongeBob made toilet humor a cultural institution, You Can't Do That on Television was already pioneering the fine art of making kids laugh at disgusting things. This show didn't flirt with gross out comedy, it cannonballed into a septic tank of it. Burp contests, barf jokes, fake vomit props, and more mysterious fluids than a CSI crime scene. It was gloriously revolting and kids ate it up like cafeteria mystery meat.
Coffee! Yeah. Oh, Barth, I'll have a coffee too. Yeah. No, don't pour it in my cup. Pour it in front of my pants. Yeah.
Go, Barbie, go!
Now I can go home with a big wet stain just like Ted.
John Kricfalusi, creator of Ren and Stimpy, basically admitted they owed their entire aesthetic to You Can't Do That on Television. Quote, "If it hadn't been for You Can't Do That on Television, we wouldn't have been able to do our thing," end quote. Translation, this Canadian sketch show wrote the playbook for making bodily functions primetime entertainment. While parents were diving for the remote and questioning their life choices, the show doubled down. Every splat, gag, and strategically placed whoopee cushion was a middle finger to appropriate children's programming. This wasn't just gross for shock value, it was rebellion with a laugh track. You Can't Do That on Television turned gross out humor into Nickelodeon's signature move for the next 3 decades, and it all started with one dungeon set, a handful of brave kids, and a prop department that definitely deserved hazard pay. Number 3, getting slimed? Well, that was a big payday. Most child actors get paid for memorizing lines. On You Can't Do That on Television, you got paid for getting covered in mystery goo. And we're not talking pocket change. If a kid got drenched with water after accidentally saying wet or water, that was an extra $75 in their allowance account.
Scream 25 cents.
That's not bad. Oh, that's 5 cents. Okay, great.
But if they got the full slime treatment, the nose clogging, possibly expired, definitely suspicious green cascade, boom, $150. For a 12-year-old in the 80s, that was buy every arcade game and still have money for comic books wealth. Think about the economics here. Show up on set Saturday, get doused in cafeteria sludge, walk home with more cash than the kid with a paper route makes in 2 months. It completely flipped the script. Slime wasn't punishment, it was profit. Kids weren't dodging the goo, they were angling for it, practicing their I don't know delivery in bathroom mirrors like method actors.
Yes, Jill, we can always count on you to be stupid enough to say water, and then on top... And then on top of that, be stupid enough to say, I don't know.
Jeffrey Darby later confessed, quote, "We just thought it was a way to reward them for the horror of having that done," end quote. Translation, yeah, we knew it was revolting, but money makes everything better. That slime may have smelled like expired ranch dressing mixed with regret, but for those brave enough to take the hit, it was liquid gold with a side of playground bragging rights. Number 2, one episode got banned in the United States. For a show that regularly featured kids getting electrocuted, dungeon tortured, and literally waterboarded with cafeteria mystery liquids, it took something pretty special to cross the line. You Can't Do That on Television found that line with an episode called Adoption. Sounds innocent enough, right? Well, it wasn't. When this 8th season episode aired in the US, Nickelodeon's phones lit up faster than a slime bucket trigger. The jokes, meant to be edgy playground humor, landed like a concrete balloon with actual adoptees and their families. Turns out, making light of adoption trauma between fart gags and pie throwing wasn't the comedic goldmine they'd hoped for.
Hey, Vanessa.
Yes, Andrew?
Would you like it if your parents adopted an orphan?
Well, that depends. If the orphan had 4 legs and a cute little tail, then I'd love it. If it had 2 legs, blonde hair, and answer to the name of Doug, I'd hate it.
Producer Jeffrey Darby later confessed, quote, "That was just not being respectful. We didn't know what buttons we were pushing," end quote. If you need the translation, it's, we tried to satirize something we know nothing about, and it exploded in our faces worse than a rigged slime bucket. The episode vanished faster than a kid avoiding the words "I don't know." Pulled from syndication, banned from reruns, and scrubbed from box sets. It became genuine lost media, one of the few pieces of Nickelodeon history that you can't find on YouTube with grainy video quality and questionable dubbing. The irony was that a show built on mocking adult sensitivities finally found a topic where the adults were absolutely right to be sensitive. Even slime-covered Canadian chaos has its limits. Number 1, Nickelodeon's iconic slime was a total mold accident. You know that iconic green slime? The one Nickelodeon built its entire corporate identity around for 3 decades? The signature goo that launched 1,000 game shows and made orange logos synonymous with getting covered in mystery substances? Yeah, it started as a bucket of moldy cafeteria leftovers. According to Jeffrey Darby, the slime origin story begins with a simple dungeon sketch. The concept was beautifully gross. Kid pulls chain, gets doused with sewage, so naturally they asked the cafeteria staff to collect every leftover food scrap from lunch and dump it into one disgusting communal bucket, because subtlety was never "you can't do that on television" strong suit. This is where food safety laws would have a field day. They ran out of time and couldn't shoot the scene. Since child labor laws actually mattered, the crew just abandoned the bucket backstage for an entire week in a warm studio during summer.
How do they make that slime they're always dumping on you?
Oh, well, first they take some liquid, and then they add some Jell-O powder and some flour, sometimes some soap, and they dump it all over me.
Where do they dump it from?
Actually, Vanessa, I've always wondered that too. I just don't know.
When they returned, the slop had evolved. A thick, bubbly, biological active layer of green mold had claimed the surface like some kind of cafeteria ecosystem. The prop guy took one look, gagged, and probably questioned his career choices. Darby looked at it, paused for exactly 3 seconds, and made television history. Dump it on the kid anyway. That festering, forgotten bucket launched a sliming empire. Game shows, award ceremonies, merchandise, and approximately 47 metric tons of future synthetic goo, all because someone was too lazy to clean up after lunch. The moral of the story was that sometimes the most iconic moments in television history are born from pure accidental negligence and really questionable hygiene standards. And there you have it, 10 weird and gloriously gross facts about the show that slimed its way into TV history. Which one left you laughing, gagging, and questioning your childhood? Drop your favorite moment or the one that still haunts you in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more retro TV deep dives, and if you ever hear someone say "I don't know," maybe take a step back, just in case. Until next time, this is Remember When.